Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
tunazunguka kote kote mchana kutwa kukuletea taarifa na matokeo ya habari kutoka pembe zote za ulimwengu. Jioni tunaweka mduara wa kujadili taarifa ziso hizo kwa mapana na marefu. Ungana nasi kila siku ya wiki kwenye matukio ya siku saa 2 jioni kwenye Sound Candid Talk. Matukio ya siku, makao makuu ya habari kuu ya siku.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another amazing episode, another amazing moment. Kama dawa statement here, and I want to welcome you all for tonight, an amazing show. Tonight we're gonna have an amazing open forum discussion show, the show that leads you to understanding and to know where you're going and where you are coming from and where you are heading to. So tonight I want to welcome you all. Feel free and feel a part and parcel of this as we have with conversation. Right for tonight on the poll line, we have a lot of things to discuss and a lot of things that have been going on. One of the things that we're having to discuss tonight is the story all about Wamalwa responding today after the responding today on the anniversary of the 22nd anniversary of Wamalwa, saying that Wamalwa was one man with this. And apart from that one, we see about the Gashawa's response, and also we'll say about the Kindiki's response, and also the other break out of the day. But apart from that one, I want to welcome you all. Feel free and feel part and parcel of this. So join up the show and come. Let us have the conversation tonight. What do you feel? What do you see our Kenyans going to? So tonight we're going to have an amazing discussion which will lead us to the understanding of a lot, and which will lead us to understanding of what is raising up and what is moving on and on. So first of all, I want to say for the ambassadors, big up yesterday for the good work they tried to do. Despite what they didn't manage to cross over to finals, but they are trying up to stand up to the semi-final. So we say heck out to them. That's what we normally say. And thank you for those who also participated to make sure that everything gets to align with that. Thank you for Kenyan fans for the first time coming through, supporting our episodes to the full blast and to the energy to it, so that they can withstand and come over everything. So we really appreciate it, and we really appreciate them for the good work. And apart from that one, we say thank you for every Kenyan who was there yesterday and stand up for them. So apart from that one, we'll be checking out the police brutality, because that have been rising up, which meaning there's still so much thing going, and also the story of Shah is still going on with a lot of stories and a lot of recaps that have been raising up and out. So we'll be here for quite while time, and we'll be having the conversation from the different parts and for the different parts. I want to welcome you all. Feel free and feel part and parcel of this, so that we can have the conversation together and we can build up to the full and to the end of it. So I want to welcome you all as we discuss the conversation tonight. Tonight is the one of the opening of the conversation tonight is the story of the police brutality that has been moving on the street. So I want to welcome you all. Feel free and feel part and parcel. This is Political Open Forum Show, the show that gives you understanding and the knowledge to understand you yourself and your nation. So let us today beginning with the story of the police brutality.
Police brutality, who are set to receive government compensation, are now demanding that justice be part of the reparation package. In interviews with Citizen TV, survivors recounted harrowing experiences dating back 7 years. Stories etched not only in their bodies as scars, but in their minds as wounds that remain unhealed. And as the task force works on a framework for compensation, the call for justice grows louder, alongside renewed appeals to end this cycle of police excesses. Laura Otieno with that report.
The government's plan to reparate victims of police brutality has been hailed as a step in the right direction. But for 52-year-old Nicholas Aduda, it has reopened a wound he has struggled to heal for the past 7 years. In 2017, Aduda traveled to Kisumu with the simple hope of casting his vote. Yet, what was meant to be a moment of civic duty quickly turned into a personal tragedy. On his way to visit a friend, he encountered police officers, an encounter that would change the course of his life forever.
Wakaniuliza, si wewe ndio kati ya wale wenye walikuwa narusha mawe? Mimi nikauliza nilikuwa narusha mawe wapi? Umri wangu iwezi kukubali nirushe mawe. Mwingine akasema ni wale watu wa Tibim. Wakaanza tu marungu, wale nipiga wakaniwacha chini hapo nikiwa unconscious.
Wakaniambia, unaenda wapi? Nyinyi ndio mharibifu. Nikamwambia mimi si mharibifu, mimi nimetoka tu utafureje. Hata ukiangalia vitu vyangu, vifaa vyangu, itaonyesha tu vitu vyangu vya kazi. Akasema pana, uongo. Sasa mwingine akaanza kunigonga kichwa.
According to Missing Voices, 2024 recorded the highest number of police-related killings. 104 lives lost. But the figure could just be a fraction of the reality. With no comprehensive data on police excesses from 2017 to date, many fear the toll runs into the thousands. Victims and human rights defenders allege it is part of a systemic effort to silence dissent and suppress the pursuit of justice.
Kienda kuripoti kwa polisi, askari wasikie tu ati umetaja hiyo mambo ya nimepigwa na polisi, ulikuwa na kufukuzwa. So it's like ni kama evidence walikuwa wanajaribu cover ups mingi, ndio sana ilifanya watu wako nini involve mpaka watu walikuwa wanawekwa ndani. Ukienda pale umeenda kuripoti unawekwa ndani.
Under the Victim Protection Act of 2014, compensation can be awarded to victims for economic or emotional loss, damage of property, as well as all forms of physical injury and harm. While there has been no express declaration of the expected monetary package for those affected, they need more than just money.
Mimi naomba haki juu mtu alifaa aishi na maisha yake. Kama saa hizi singekuwa nateseka, ningekuwa na huyo mbaba. Sasa mimi nilikuwa naomba hata kama wanalipa, haiwezi fikisha ile kiwango mtu angekuwa nayo na maisha yake kwa hii dunia.
And as the Makau Mutua-led team continues to develop a framework for the compensation of victims of police brutality, the victims say that they hope justice is part of the package to put an end to the wanton cases of police brutality that has so far not only costed lives, but also livelihoods. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
That's what happened to that point. And that's also playing it along. So we still have a lot to have the conversation over it. So let us check out this. This is what also still moving on.
Integration. And joining me now from Arusha is the Secretary General of the East African Community. Her name, Veronica Nduva. Thank you for joining me this evening, Veronica. I see you're wearing a Uganda jersey. I assume you watched the game, the CHAN game between Uganda and Senegal.
Sure. No, thanks, Oli, for having me. And yes, I did watch the game with Senegal. And sadly, I was rooting for Uganda Cranes, as you can see. And I thought they will be our saving grace. But sadly, of course, Senegal took it with 1 goal. But, Olive, if you watch that game, Uganda had better ball possession, more shots on target, less fouls. So, yeah, we live to fight another day.
All right. And I'm curious, nonetheless, even though Kenya, Uganda out of the semi-finals, so to speak, now as move into the semis, is this, the sort of scenario you envision when we talk about regional integration? Because you'll have Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania co-hosting what is dubbed the Pamoja Chan 2024.
Yes, absolutely. You're very right, Olive. This showcases that our integration has so many facets to it. When we said Pamoja, that's very aligned with what we believe. One people, one destiny. This tournament, the Chan tournament, has really showcased a lot of things. Number one, that Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania have their best foot forward in terms of hosting, state-of-the-art infrastructure. We've really invested in our stadiums. Then, most importantly, look at the fan base, I mean, that the live that came out from our fans across board, that is something that we celebrate, umoja wetu, pamoja wetu, and the best foot forward, because even as we look forward to hosting AFCON, we've really learned a number of lessons, and we've really gone far. It's such a long time, I think, for Kenya from 1997, perhaps, I'm not very sure. The same for Taifa Stars, for Uganda Cranes. So we've really done well, and there's been some exciting moments that we've all witnessed, and really a big exemplary of what integration can do.
All right. There's been a bit of a back and forth online, for example, between Kenya and Tanzania. Did you find yourself caught in the middle because you're Kenyan, but you're based in Arusha representing the EAC?
Good thing none of the matches were at the same time. I was watching Harambee Stars, and I saw that penalty that caused the heartbreak. And then after that, we went and watched Tanzania fighting it out with Morocco, and then today Senegal. I think that this rivalry that you're talking about, I want to look at it. In Swahili, we say ucheshi, kutania, because it's the same thing we see with Yanga and Simba. It's the same thing we see with Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards. So for me, I think there is a message here. How about we start our own Premier League, within East Africa? The same way we are always saying, Arsenal, Man U, Manchester. How about we start this whole Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and then, of course, the other East African states. So I took it in good faith. It's the normal sportsmanship and the fun just banter and just making sure that everything is lively. So I think it was really hilarious, and the online, I didn't get caught in between, because I can choose to be who I want to be. Today I'm wearing Uganda t-shirt. Tomorrow I could wear the Tanzanian one. So it doesn't really matter, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm really excited at what I saw with our fans across. The spirit of East African came alive in a big way.
Was the Secretariat involved in any way in the bid?
Of course, for us, because sports is one of, when we look at our pillars, and remember, East Africa community is established on the premise of free movement of people, goods, and services. And we have all these establishing laws and protocols. And some of the protocols talk about our cultural integration, which goes into issues like arts and sports and music and culture. And for me, this bid is the center of East African community. I had an opportunity to, for instance, go to Uganda when the Chan tournament was being launched by His Excellency, the President of Uganda, Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and he talked about that this is the spirit of East Africa that we've always had. And so, yes, we were involved. We didn't have the practical roles of the negotiations, but it's been a joint bid. It's Pamoja. It's aligned to our one people, one destiny mantra.
All right. So, of course, the Chan tournament takes place, and this rivalry, so to speak, I know you've taken it in a good-natured fashion, but it does come on the backdrop of complaints from Kenya of Tanzania imposing non-tariff and tariff barriers, because you have talked about freedom of movement and goods. Could it also be informed by something underlying?
No, Olive, I wouldn't say that. Let me frame it this way. Wherever there are trading blocks, remember, EAC is a regional economic community. It's not the only one. In Africa, we have several. We have COMESA, we have SADC, we have ECOWAS, we have others that are outside the country, outside the continent, so to speak, the ASEANs. In Latin America, we have, of course, the big one that everyone knows, the European Union. And all at any one time where there is trade, there will always be issues that come out. So sometimes we have tariff barriers. So those are like the common external tariffs, what is liberalized, what is available, which is has jurisdiction and maybe the right protocols. But then there are also non-trade, non-tariff barriers. So these are just other things like perhaps poor understanding, poor interpretation, perhaps traders going behind what has been achieved. So problems are there and they are not unique to East African community. What matters is that are there existing mechanisms for resolving this? And yes, Olive, there are regional mechanisms, there are national mechanisms, and there are bilateral mechanisms. And that's really what you're calling about the sibling rivalry is the same thing that I would say it is not new. Over the years, the East African community has embraced and dealt with issues as they come up. So we've even seen reduction of NTBs, non-tariff barriers to trade, but also tariff. Why? Because we have existing structures. For instance, apart from the summit, which is the heads of state, we have the Council of Ministers, and then we have the sectoral councils. With regards to trade, we have the sectoral council on trade, investment, and finance that discusses these issues over time and reaches conclusions. And this is no different. It's not unique to Kenya. It's not unique to Tanzania. Sometimes it's between Kenya and Uganda. It could be between Uganda and Tanzania. It could even be between South Sudan and Uganda and Rwanda. But the most important thing is, are there mechanisms to resolve this? And the answer is yes. So in this particular case, it's not any different that we have mechanisms and we've activated those mechanisms.
Can you tell us at what level, you've mentioned different levels of mechanisms it's being handled at, and if there has been headway made? Because those were some serious allegations or claims made that Tanzania is undermining the common market protocol.
Sure. Let me say this, Olive. Let me first of all back up a little bit and say this. Data speaks, and the numbers are there to suggest that intra-EAC trade has grown. There's been a 15% growth of intra-EAC trade from 2012, 2015, all the way to 2024. We've seen continuous indication that numbers in trade have grown. We've also seen studies, independent studies, not conducted by the EAC, that place the EAC as one of the best performing RECs, especially with regards to economic integration. So when I say that the mechanisms are there, let me give an example. Last year, this was even before any of these issues that you're talking about were out in public domain. Last year, we had our 24th ordinary summit of the heads of states of the 8 countries, and one of the issues they discussed and had deep dive on was the non-tariff barriers to trade and other barriers, and they instructed the council that before the next summit there is need to have a high-level discussion that will bring together private sector, will bring together the traders, and to discuss this issue. And I'm happy to note that this is going to happen. Secondly, even within my tenure as Secretary General, I have had several roundtables with the East African Business Council and the private sector associations just to hear from them what are the issues, what can we do, and we elevate this into policy platforms and solutions are found. Perhaps more specifically with the issue that you are flagging, when this matter came up, first of all, as a secretariat, we were able to look at what exactly is the issue. Are there issues of compliance? What does the Common Market Protocol say? And are the various actions taken by both countries in line or out of line? So that is one thing. But over and above that, the two countries, Kenya and Tanzania, just 2 weeks ago met and had a bilateral discussion with the trade officials and the officials from the East African ministries and really went through thrashing what are the issues. And I'm happy to know they made progress and they will be convening again in September. And they did so right here in Arusha. Aside from that, we called for an extraordinary session of the ministers of finance to look at what is it that the taxes we are seeing and what needs to be done. So allow me to just say that we are confident that with the existing mechanisms, the heads of state are engaging. When you talk to them, we know that phone calls have been made at various levels. We've seen the technical staff talking to each other and ironing out issues. As Secretariat, we've commissioned a study and working with other partners to see what exactly within the Common Market Protocol needs to be addressed and what are the underlying issues. So I remain optimistic that first of all, numbers suggest our intra-EAC trade is growing. Secondly, we have regional, national. We even have monitoring committees at national level that really monitor are there any tariff barriers or non-tariff barriers and report at regional level, and then they meet. So I remain confident that yes, there are issues. Issues will often arise, but as long as we have existing mechanism. Number one, we have the commitment and the goodwill. And I would say without a shred of doubt that at the political level, at the highest level, our presidents are really committed to regional integration, whether it's economic, political, or whatever, and they have the long game. And they are tireless in their efforts to ensure that issues, though they may arise, they will always be resolved, Olive.
All right, Veronica, quickly, just as a last question, what then is the role of the East Africa Legislative Assembly? Because do they play a role in making sure that internal legislation, the national legislation, achieves the intent of the protocols as set out by the East African community?
Sure, of course, as you are well aware, the EAC set out just in almost the same format as any government. We have right here the East African Court of Justice, the Secretariat, which is more akin to the executive, and then, of course, IALA, which is more, the legislative oversight, as you've said. And yes, rightly so, the Parliament carries out its oversight role. They engage with the Council of Ministers. They're able to point out where things they do not see as if things are going well because they engage with the Mwananchi. They are the ones who are talking to our citizens. But over and above that, we have seen bills. Just last summit, the heads of state assented to a number of bills that have been developed by the IALA members. So what we need to see is more of at national level, the ratification, the implementation, the monitoring, the application, changes in national laws where it is required. But yes, certainly I see a lot of coherence between the various organs of the East African community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for speaking to us. That is the Secretary General of the East African Community, Veronica Nduva. We stay watching.
That's what's happening. That's happening. So I want to invite you all. Feel free, feel part and parcel of this, as you know, having the conversation. So today, let us move to the tricky conversation a little bit and having the inbound political front. What is it cooking there, and who is cooking and who is not cooking? Because today let us begin with the Eugene. Today spoke something today, and this is what he said. He said something about the uniting and both the opposition leaders. So this was the response. This was the reaction from Kenyans, sir. And this, okay, let us check out what Eugene said first. This is what Eugene said first.
Thank you for staying with us on Citizen Weekend. DAP Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa is urging opposition leaders to put aside selfish interests and unite if they hope to unseat President William Ruto in the next general election. Speaking during the 22nd memorial of the late Vice President Michael Kijana Wamalwa, the DCP leader stressed the need for a strong coalition, calling on opposition lead behind a single presidential candidate and join forces with other visionary leaders.
Nataka niombe wenzangu pinzani ya kwamba tuige mfano wa Wamalwa, Kibaki na Ngilu waliokuja pamoja na wakatuleta wote pamoja kama taifa, tukaondoa uongozi wa KANU na kutoa hii serikali ya Bwana Ruto. Haitakuwa rahisi. Ni kama vile ilikuwa vigumu kumtoa Moi 1992, upinzani uligawanyika, tukashindwa. Moi akapenya. 1997 upinzani ukagawanyika tena, Moi akapenya. Licha ya kwamba alikuwa tuna 36% ya kura za Kenya.
A family in Garissa is demanding answers about their relative, 30-year-old Abdi Nasser Halif, and two friends who they claim were abducted by police reservists last year. Halif was allegedly arrested on June the 30th while leaving a wedding with two friends. Today, his family took to the streets of Garissa town, urging the government to either release him and his friends or arraign them if they have committed any crime. They say their visits to security officers have been fruitless.
Need justice. Tunataka tupate kijana yetu. Kijana mdogo wa mwaka karibu 20 hajapatikanwa mpaka sasa hii, muda wa mwaka moja na miezi 2. Tunataka justice tafadhali kutoka serikali wa Kenya.
Kila mara wanatuambia kijana yetu atakuja mpaka leo wanatuambia tu hivyo. Hatuna any information. Tumereport tumereport Hagardera, tumereport hapa Garissa County.
My brother is a full Kenyan citizen. We need our brother back. We need him return back home safe. I'm urging our able government to bring our brother safe home.
Kenya's push for food security has sparked a silent battle, one that pits pests against pesticides, profits against public health. Since the ban on 77 cancer-linked chemicals in June, the nation remains split. Farmers, scientists, and activists are divided, some demanding a total phase-out, others warning of devastating crop losses. Emily Chabet reports on how Kenya's drive for food self-reliance clashes with the need to protect farmers and consumers.
In Kenya, the battle for safe food is no longer just about what ends up on your plate. It's about how it got there. From the farm to the dinner table, questions linger. Just how safe is the food we eat? Meet Henry Ogola, a farmer and certified spray service provider from Boror village in Rongai, Nakuru County. He knows firsthand the crucial role food production safety standards play. On his 3-acre farm, he's created a training hub for fellow farmers, teaching climate-smart agriculture and the responsible use of chemicals, reading labels, wearing full protective gear, and scouting for pests before selecting any pesticides.
Dawa ikigusa skin ama ngozi, kuna zile ambazo zinaweza kuchoma ngozi. Kuna dawa ambazo zinaingia kwa macho, inaingia kwa mapua na mdomo, all the openings ya mwili. So mimi lazima nivae vizuri wakati ninapopiga hizi dawa ili isinidhuru mimi mwenyewe.
As a trained service provider, simple tools like these color-coded traps help him identify which pest is present, so he uses only what is needed, a method that saves both the crop and the farmer.
Hizi trappers niseme naenda kupigia mkulima dawa na nimeshamfunza jinsi ya kuweka trappers kwa shamba. Tutajua ni mdudu gani yuko kwa shamba. So tutaenda kwa specific pesticide na pia tunaangalia hiyo mimea imebaki muda gani ivunwe.
The debate over hazardous chemicals in Kenya's market has led to the ban of 77 pesticide products, many flagged for links to cancer, hormone disruption, and damage to pollinators and aquatic life. However, calls to outlaw all products banned in the European Union and their countries of origin have stirred fierce debate. with experts arguing that Africa and Kenya in particular cannot be directly compared to the EU due to differences in soil, climate and temperature.
Because of climate change, we have seen emergence of new pests that were not a problem before. We have had emergence of new pests in various crops, such as fall armyworm. We've had issues with fruit flies, where they never used to be such a big problem before. We've had issues to do with false codling moth and Tuta absoluta or tomato leaf minor in tomatoes.
EU is in temperate kind of climate, meaning that they have seasons, winter and summer and everything else. So they can manage to control pests during when everything is freezing. There will be no pests, isn't it? We are in the tropics. Pests are moving every time. Every time you hear we have locust issues, those pests are not there. Fall armyworm, for example, is not there. We have false codling moth for flowers that is actually devastating flowers. It's not there.
According to a 2023 Route to Food report, 76% of the total volume of pesticides in Kenya are categorized as highly hazardous, and 44% of these pesticides are banned in the European Union. But some stakeholders question how large-scale producers who feed millions can maintain yields without these chemicals. They warn that outright bans without alternatives leave farmers vulnerable and threaten food security, urging responsible use and tough action on counterfeits.
Label instructions usually provide the farmers with the rates of application that they're supposed to use, and they're supposed to strictly follow those. And also because of issues of resistance, normally farmers, especially for insecticides, are urged to not just rely on one particular chemical for a long period of time.
If we use them as the way they are intended, the risk mitigation measures build on, then they're not posing a risk. So the idea should not be, are these products registered in EU? It should not be registered in Africa. If we took that, we will not produce food. So the idea should be, do the risk posed by these products acceptable and can be mitigated? That should be the question. Look at the level of Kenya and the level of Europe. Europe have the money to buy food from all over. They can even stop producing and import food.
AAK Grow has trained over 2,600 spray service providers across 16 agricultural counties to promote responsible pesticide use and improve food safety. For a small fee of between 50 shillings and 100 shillings per pump, SSPs help communities apply chemicals safely and ensure proper disposal of used containers.
It is actually classified as hazardous, so it cannot be used for domestic uses as a container. But it is essentially supposed to be punctured and then first of all triple rinsed, just to make sure that all those residues of chemical are removed and put in the spray tank, and then puncture the container and put it in this particular canister.
Mutai says farmers should be incentivized to dispose of pesticide containers safely, noting this would greatly reduce risks to communities and livestock. Collection and transport of pesticide containers must be handled by authorized agencies, with destruction preferably by incineration to minimize environmental impact. These measures are crucial for safe farming, high yields, and lower health risks. Farmers like Henry are trained to strictly observe pre-harvest intervals, the time between spraying and harvesting, to prevent chemical residues from entering the food chain. Stakeholders say the fight against unsafe pesticides require more than bans. It demands significant investment in farmer training, safe alternatives, and tougher enforcement against counterfeit products. Food safety starts here at the farm. Any small mistake from the farm can affect the food on your table. Some farmers have already taken a step to ensure that the food that they farm are safe for you and your families. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Rongai, in Nakuru County.
As we leave the story of the farmers in Nakuru County, there's a lot of things that's still cooking on and on about what welcome you all. I make you to feel part of this if you're still joining up and are still moving on swiftly. So I want we go for a commercial break a little bit, but we're coming back with the story of Shagwa, and also coming up with the story that one that is only man and say it's it. Kindiki himself. So don't go away, just continue to be to it. We're coming with more, and a lot more is coming.
Tunazunguka kote kote mchana kutwa kukuletea taarifa na matokeo ya habari kutoka pembe zote za ulimwengu. Jioni tunaweka mduara wa kujadili taarifa zizo hizo kwa mapana na marefu. Ungana nasi kila siku ya wiki kwenye matukio ya siku, saa 2 jioni kwenye Sound Candy Talk. Matukio ya siku Tonight.
Basi yule mtoto akasema ile siku moja mimi sijaenda kanisani na Yesu Kristo anakuja.
Because kuleta ndege ya Chief of Defense Forces down is not only negligence but criminal negligence.
Nilikuja hapa hadi ya Gong nikamwambia mchague Ruto. Na mimi naomba msamaha.
Na mchezo huu rais, ni mchezo ambao utakusaidia wewe rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ni mchezo ambao unakufundisha jinsi vile kufanya kazi.
Your Excellency, what helped that case was there was a policeman who recorded his statement in English.
Sasa huyu ndiye nilipiga kofi. Juzi ndio amenipigia simu akaniambia.
Tonight.
Welcome back. This is Sankadok, and welcome to the Political Forum shows of night. We're having the conversation, having the tricky conversation over and over again, trying to bring up the nation to the point where we're supposed to be, or where the nation is supposed to be heading to. So I want to welcome you all. Feel free to participate in all of this, as if we are having a conversation tonight, so that we can bring up the contents of the everything that is not going on to the right direction. Okay, let us listen to the one almighty Mr. Kindiki himself, and then we'll get to know what more is cooking or what more is still going on.
Wajir counties. The leaders strongly condemned claims by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua suggesting government ties with Al-Shabaab, dismissing the remarks as misleading and intended to alienate residents of the northeastern region. The Deputy President reaffirmed the government's commitment to development projects and to changing the long-standing narrative of marginalization in northern Kenya. Milito Letenges with that report.
Kenya Kwanza leaders camped in northeastern Kenya today for a series of empowerment programs in Wajir and Mandera counties, while rallying support for President William Ruto's second term. The leaders also defended the government's decision to scrap the vetting process previously required for ID registration in the region.
Ameondoa hiyo program, hiyo process kwa sababu inabagua. Wakenya wengine wanabaguliwa. Na rais amesema Mkenya ni Mkenya. Awe ni wa Northeastern, awe ni wa Coast, awe ni wa Pwani, awe ni wa Central, awe ni wa Nyanza.
In response to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's, the leaders have dismissed the claims as baseless and misleading.
Wewe umeenda Amerika ukasema wa Somali ni terrorist. Wewe ndiye terrorist wa siasa na wa Kenya hapa Kenya. Kweli si kweli? Usidharau jamii zingine na udharau watu sababu ati umeenda Amerika kuombaomba pesa.
Na sio vizuri na ni kinyume na sheria kubagua wananchi wengine ati kwa sababu ya dini yao ama mahali ambao wamezaliwa. Na Rais William Ruto ndiye rais wa kwanza ambaye ametoa utaratibu ambao umetumika zaidi ya miaka 60 unabagua wananchi wetu wa kazi hii.
The leaders further emphasized that the government is focused on implementing development projects in the region, seeking to transform an area long viewed as neglected by past governments.
Barabara ndefu zaidi kujengwa katika Kenya. Barabara ya kilomita 750 ambayo itaunganisha hii sehemu ya Northeastern na Kenya ile ingine.
They toured Lafey, Mandera East and Wajir East constituencies. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
That's what's going on with Kindiki, speaking out, saying that, hey, everything's supposed to come to the alignment, everything's supposed to come to the post. So I don't know why Kindiki had said to do that, but we're still checking out to know what more that Kindiki has said to it and to do it. So I want to think that in Kenya, there's some little bit controversial for those people doing things that are controversial too. So we try to put up the nation to the lineup and to try to put up the nation to the right way. But some people just come up with them, put up the nation just facing other issues and other response that they are not having up to. So we here Kenyans, we need to sit up and make sure that our nation is in the direction. We not sit here just watching our nation goes to the chaotic, our nation going to the wrong path. So I like to say that let's run a nation as our nation even goes in the right direction, not just running a nation that going from the direction that is even is not it's not pleasing, direction that is not even good. So we really appreciate if our nation can be running way to the right. Good. I want to thank you for being up with me. Thank you for those who have been joining up. Thank you for those who have been communicating with us, and thank you for those who have been there. I don't have much to say, but to bring you to the contention and say that we'll play one video, and then we will have the segment that we said be shattering up and having the conversation also to see even we are handing up. Okay, there are a lot of things that are happening, and we're still checking out for the many things that are being brought up and many things that are being laid up. But I want to play the couple of videos, then we'll have a last part of the conversation so that we can move on swiftly and have an agreement for today. And God will bless you all as even we are preparing for this amazing Sunday. I know today is an amazing Sunday, so I want to all of us to have the greatest part and the greatest day of the day. So this is it.
Have launched investigations into a horrific attack in which 4 family members, including a 3-month-old baby, were burnt alive by unknown assailants after their main door was locked from the outside. Miraculously, one child survived after being forced to drink petrol just moments before the house was set ablaze. Crispin Otieno reports.
Friday morning in Nyamakoroto village, Kitutu Masaba, Nyamira County. A heavy cloud of sorrow hangs over the village after unknown attackers stormed the home of the late Roderick Makini. The family was tied together wires, forced to drink petrol, and their house set ablaze with the door padlocked from outside. Smoke billowing from the home sent shockwaves through the village as neighbors rushed to the scene.
Ilikuwa pa saa 11 asubuhi. Jirani akaniamsha akaniambia nyumba inachomeka mahali kwa jirani hapa. Tukakimbia alafu tusaidie nyumba. Tukafikiria ni nyumba inachomeka, watu hakuna ndani. Kusima tukapata, wakati tunasima tukapata kuna miili 4.
The attack claimed the lives of Jackie Bushaberi, 50, her daughter Mary Makini, 23, and Mary's 3-month-old baby. Mary, a promising student, was set to join university on the very day she was found dead.
Tumehangaika sana, tumesikia vibaya, tumeumwa sana, tumechomwa, tumehuzunika.
Mtoto mwenye alikuwa anaenda university achomewe kwa nyumba na mtoto wake wa miezi 3. Hiyo ni huzuni sana kwa familia. Mimi ni kuomba serikali kama inaweza, those people who did that thing, this incident, they will be brought into book. Haki ionekane.
Police have launched a manhunt for the suspects and assured locals that justice will be served.
Mili imechomeka beyond recognition, na DCI officers wako hapa wameanzisha uchunguzi, na tutawapea nafasi waweze kutuambia baadaye, wakifanya uchunguzi watatuambia sababu ilikuwa nini.
The child bodies of the 4 family members were moved to Masaba North Sub-County Hospital's morgue in Keroka, awaiting autopsy. Crispino Tieno, Citizen TV.
And in now, a Mombasa blogger who earlier claimed he's kidnapped and sodomized is now accusing the Witness Protection Unit of abandoning him at his point of greatest need. Narrating his 9-month ordeal, the victim alleges that officers misled him into believing he was being taken to Kilifi for a court matter, only to be dumped back in Mombasa, where he now fears for his life. As Francis Mtalaki reports from Mombasa, the victim further claims that politicians who once used him to attack their rivals have since deserted him.
He has been in hiding for the past 9 months under the Witness Protection Unit in pursuit of justice that took him across Nairobi, Kakamega and Embu counties. But the once Mombasa-based blogger now says the last 3 months have been the hardest, sometimes going for 2 days without food, as he endures the pain of broken promises and injuries from violent attacks, including the loss of teeth.
Wameniacha na damage ya meno. Mimi nahangaika jamani. Mimi nateseka. Niliacha, walinitoa kwangu, vitu vangu vimeibwa. Sina mahali pa kurudi. Kwetu siwezi enda, maisha kwetu ni ya shida.
He further claims that officers had deceived him into believing he was being taken to Kilifi County, closer to Mombasa, ahead of his court case on the 25th of this month, only to abandon him in Mombasa, leaving him stranded in front of his parents.
Kufika Mombasa wakampigia babangu simu, tukakutana naye kwa hoteli moja, wakamwambia babangu, kijana wako yuko sawa. Babangu akasema yuko sawa. Sasa kijana wako tumekuachia kwa amani, tumemtoa kwa program.
The victim now blames a group of politicians, saying they used him to target their opponents with promises of protection, only to abandon him once their interests were served.
Haya masaibu yote yamenikuta saizi ni kwa sababu ya wanasiasa kunitumia. Mimi saizi nimeosha mkono kwa siasa chafu. Nimerekebishika, nimepata funzo langu. Wanasiasa wamenitumia. Naomba mashirika ya kutetea haki za kibinadamu munisaidie. Program imeniterminate for no reason.
The victim is now seeking justice, saying he has nowhere to live after his host gave him a 2-day ultimatum to vacate the house. He is also urging fellow bloggers to uphold integrity and avoid being exploited for political gain.
Nawaomba msitumike juu mimi hana napitia saizi, ndugu zangu, niko peke yangu. Hakuna mtu akuniangalia, niko mpweke. Naomba Wakenya mnisaidie.
Francis Mtalaki, Citizen TV, Mombasa.
Elsewhere, slain Meru blogger Daniel Muthiani, alias Sniper, has been laid to rest 19 months after his death. Sniper was reported missing on the 2nd of December 2023 while in Meru town before his body was found on the banks of the Mutonga River in Tharaka Nithi. During his burial, family, friends and relatives urged the government to ensure justice is served. The family had vowed not to lay Sniper to rest until his killers are prosecuted. Sniper's murder case remains in court at Kiambu Law Courts, with 5 accused persons awaiting their fate upon the completion of the judicial process.
You are the kindest, most generous person I knew. You always put others before yourself, and you never hesitate to help anyone in need. I will cherish the moment of our trips, our quiet evening at home, and the way you made me feel loved every single day.
Your blog was more than just a platform. It was a reflection of your creativity, wit and insight. Your writing touched us.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba serikali, hiyo kesi kwa sababu ilikuwa imesukumwa Nairobi kisiasa, kupunish, to continue with the punishment to the family na uongozi wenye ulikuweko. Hiyo punishment ifike mwisho, kesi irudishwe Meru.
Tonight, a family in Tonight, a family in Kericho is appealing to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to probe the death of their kin, which they strongly suspect was a case of murder. As Franklin Wala reports, relatives of Jacqueline Mbone say the body of the mother of three was discovered burnt beyond recognition inside her rented house in Mjini Estate, Kericho. They believe an estranged lover may have been behind the heinous act.
A somber mood hangs over the home of Jacqueline Mbone as relatives and friends struggle to console one another. The body of the 37-year-old mother of three was found burnt beyond recognition inside her rented house in Mjini Estate, Kericho. The incident was reported on August 11, 2025.
Pata dada yangu amewekwa kwenye kona ni kama mwenye aliuliwa alafu ndio akachoma kwa sababu hiyo nyumba haikuwa imechomeka lakini mwili yake ilikuwa imechomeka kabisa hata ungeweza kumtambua.
In an interview with Citizen TV, the distraught family alleged an estranged lover trailed Jacqueline to her house where he murdered her before setting the body ablaze. Moments earlier, Jacqueline had closed her salon business and headed home. Her body, together with all her belongings, was reduced to ashes. Ironically, a motorbike parked inside the house with a full tank of petrol remained untouched.
Kuja tu hapa hivi kwa familia na huyo kijana yake waombe msamaha, waongee, waseme yenyewe msichana alikuwa anaishi kwetu, hata sisi tungependa upelelezi ya haki.
The devastated family, now preparing for Jacqueline's burial, has lamented the slow pace of investigations and is urging authorities to expedite the probe and bring the perpetrators to book. Police, however, maintain they are pursuing crucial leads and that justice will be served. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV.
Those are the things that are moving on and happening. So the nation and things that are happening over and over again that we still put everything to the lineup. I don't have much to say today for today, but allow me to shut up from there and learn that everything else is on everything other time. Let us meet next time. Until next time, bye-bye.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk live.
Tonight, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot is taking place so fast. Therefore, everybody must work hard to stay on the cutting edge as far as making sense of our politics is concerned and, of course, remaining on top of all matters. Tonight, this is Sound Candy Talk live. 72 people have cast their vote already, and only 42 have liked the video. Justified. So from the look of things, the majority of Kenyans think the government need to up their. Glad to report we are back on the main channel as well, and therefore we are asking everybody to join from wherever you are. Sound Candy Talk live YouTube channel, and we are also live on X as well as extended to Facebook.